Hey everybody, Stitch 1993 here, back again. It is New Year's Eve, and which means we're talking about more Disney films, and we're going to be talking about these for how many months you got there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
5 months.
5 months, so yeah, if you don't want to hear us talk about Disney movies, come back to us in June? And then we'll talk about drama, right?
Yes.
That's after drama. Okay, cool. So, but yeah, if this is your first time here, welcome. This is just me, my wife, Shelby, as we just talk about, as the title says, movies that we own. We own over 1,200 individual physical movies across DVD, Blu-ray, and VHS. We're mainly just going to be talking about DVD and Blu-ray here, and we'll make a video way further down the line about VHSs. So if there's a Disney movie we just never get around to, it might be because we still have it for some odd reason on VHS. There are actually a couple Disney movies that never made their way over to any other physical media. So yeah, but so this is video number 2 for the Disney ones. Back before the holidays started, we did part 1, which was A's going into, what was it, C's?
Yes.
So this video is going to be C's going into H's. So yeah, we're just gonna give our thoughts on each video, movie, and let's get on to it.
Before we get started, do apologize if we sound a little weird. We've both been sick pretty much the entire month.
Yes.
So we might sound a little scratchy. There might be a couple little coughs here and there.
Or sniffles.
It's winter.
Yeah. Alright, so starting off is going to be Christopher Robin. I thoroughly enjoyed this film. I kind of knew I was going to enjoy this film right from like when they first announced it. It's like, yeah, it's Christopher Robin when he is an adult, and it's got Ewan McGregor as Christopher Robin, and I was like, and I forget her name, but it's
Haley Atwell?
Haley Atwell as his wife. I'm like, yeah, that's going to be a good movie. And it ended up being a really good movie. Kind of dark, too, for like the first 20 or so minutes of it. Didn't realize it was going to get that dark. But after that, it gets pretty lighthearted, as you would expect for a Winnie the Pooh movie. And I really think they should have, I guess it didn't do that well. I have to look it back up. But you know, I was expecting this to kind of take off and we get more than just the one movie we got out of them. I honestly could have seen them, this was a jumping off point for a new Winnie the Pooh series, whether it's show or a trilogy or something like that. But no, this is just kind of a one and done. Yeah, when people are I hate when Disney's doing live action remakes, this wasn't a live action remake. It was its own story. With some of the, stories taken from some of the books, was pretty interesting because this was the second Winnie the Pooh movie to come out, I think, in that year. So or the year before or after, because Goodbye Christopher Robin also came out around that time. So and there were people were getting the titles mixed up, because both of them had Christopher Robin in the title. But overall, I thoroughly enjoyed it. Animation is really good because they're supposed to look like, the actual toys in real life setting. And yeah, what were your thoughts?
I didn't expect this movie to affect me as much as it did, but right around the middle of it, I was audibly sobbing.
Yeah.
I was so upset watching this movie, but I love it. Everyone did a great job in it. Ewan McGregor was really giving it his all in this movie, which it's a Pooh Bear movie. You wouldn't think they would go as hard as they did, but he just performed so well. It might be my favorite thing he's ever done, and I've seen a good bit of his stuff.
Top 5. It's in my top 5, yeah.
So yeah, I loved this movie. I loved the art style for the characters. We got me the movie Pooh Bear that year for Christmas. It was so cute. Yeah, just I loved everything about this.
Cinderella 1 and then also Cinderella 3. So we don't have 2. 2, we still do need to get. We just have not gotten around to finding it in stores. But we have 1 and 3. And I'm starting with the original. I like it. It's fine. It is, the Cinderella movie. It's by the book. Story. I don't have any complaints. The songs are great. That is where we get Bippity Boppity Boo from. So I really enjoy that song. And Gus Gus. That's where we get Gus Gus. But yeah, I don't. Other than that, I'm just like, there's other Disney princess movies from around that time that I enjoy more. That we'll eventually get to. 3 was like when Disney was doing all those direct-to-DVD films, and like they just kept making Cinderella films. So by the time the third one, they're like, let's do a time travel, what if kind of story. And this is before Disney was really doing a lot of that kind of weird what if time travel kind of stuff in their movies, and it really works for Cinderella. And it honestly is like my favorite out of the 3. I think 2 is pretty up there. I like, if I had to rank them, I'd do like 3, 2, 1. But yeah, I'm like, yeah, of course the animation is a bit more lower budget because they are direct to DVD films for like the mid 2000s. But I mean, I thoroughly enjoy 3. 3 is like the funniest one too. What were your thoughts on 1 and 3? And I guess you can also talk about 2 if you want to.
So, I actually do really enjoy 1. So, like, the whole Cinderella story in general, I have grown up, like, really enjoying. We've got, like, 5 different adaptations of Cinderella.
Yeah.
This is my least favorite of the 5, but it's all just kind of like bam, 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 bam. Like, I do really enjoy all of them.
Okay.
And I do love the animation for this one. It is that, like, gorgeous, classic Disney animation. I grew up, like, really enjoying, the dresses and everything. I love the mice. The fairy godmother always reminded me of my grandma growing up because that was the kind of energy she gave off. And you've heard the stories of her.
And I've met her. And
yeah.
She does still give off the godmother, fairy godmother vibes. Yeah.
A little bit of the, like, sweet old lady kookiness.
Yeah.
And it's just so, like, I always identified that with her. And then I watched it a lot growing up. It was like that and Beauty and the Beast I watched all the time. So I do really enjoy it. 3 I've only seen like twice, but I have enjoyed both times I watched it. It's just one of those I forget it exists until I'm watching it situations.
Right. Yeah.
And then I go, wait a minute, I love this. Why do I forget it exists? And it's because we have so many Cinderella adaptations.
Did you see 2?
I had to.
Okay.
I had it at my grandparents'. I had the car TV where you could like put a VHS in, and we watched it on trips.
Okay.
So I enjoyed it. I had the coloring book and stuff for it. But it wasn't my favorite. Like, it was just kind of there.
How would you rank the 3 films?
For me, it's 1, 3, 2.
1,
like,
3, 2.
1 will always have a special place for me.
Gotcha.
Like, I even had, like, the Barbie and stuff.
Cool. Speaking of Cinderella, Roger and Hammerstein's Cinderella, this is the one that was made for the Wonderful World of Disney TV. You introduced this one to me, so I'll let you start off with your thoughts because this is like your favorite.
It's my second favorite.
Oh, okay.
My first favorite we won't get to until we get to a whole other category.
Got it.
But I love everything about this movie. The music is fantastic. Brandy does a wonderful job as Cinderella. The prince is endearing. It's Bernadette Peters as the stepmother, and I love Bernadette Peters so much. She's one of my favorite performers in existence. Whitney Houston does great as the fairy godmother. And there's really nothing I can add to this conversation that hasn't been said by literally anybody else that has covered this. It is nearly perfect in an adaptation of Cinderella, and the only one that beats me we'll get to months later. Since it will be so long until we get there, for me, the number one adaptation is Ever After.
Fair enough. Okay. All right. I was trying to figure out which one was your number one. Okay, that makes sense. So yeah, you did introduce this to me because I've seen like the poster, growing up, going down the video aisle, but it never like caught my attention because I'm like, it's just Cinderella, and then you put Disney on top of it, so I'm just like, oh, this is like a Disney live action version. It's more so that it's just their adaptation of the stage musical of the same name because it's Roger and Hammerstein's.
I actually found out the stage musical came out later. It's an adaptation of a Rodgers and Hammerstein made-for-TV movie with, I believe, Julie Andrews.
Yeah.
We have that as well.
Okay.
So we've actually got like 6 Cinderellas.
Either way, so I was well into adulthood when I first saw it, and I agree. Everybody is on their A game there. I always find it really funny that it's the guy from Seinfeld as the butler,
Jason Alexander. It's fantastic.
Yeah, I'm just like, and then I was like, oh yeah, he does have a background in stage because this is like he does other stuff. I just know him from Seinfeld. But yeah, it's very, very cute. I don't have much else to say about it because it's just one of those just Disney movies. I do have a lot to say for the next one. It's Cool Runnings. I did get introduced to this one at a very young age, and I love it. Of course, it's John Candy. I love John Candy films. This one is kind of based on a true story. I mean, there was a Jamaican bobsled team. And they did they even showed it in the movie the footage that they show where they take the curve and it topples over. I think that's the actual footage from what happened. But other than that, I think there's a bit more that they put in there to add more drama and stuff, especially with the other teams kind of being mean and stuff.
Oh, it's definitely Disney-fied.
Yeah, it's definitely Disney-fied. But the acting is great. I kind of wish I'm sure they've been in other things, but I've kind of wish that all the 4 main actors, minus John Candy, went on and did more stuff because I haven't seen them in anything else after that or before then. Really, of course, I haven't really looked it up. I don't think there's any other movies I can think of off the top of my head that I've seen any of them in. But they all did amazing work. I still, quote both the mantra that they say when pushing off their sleigh, and also the one where the bathroom scene where the tough guys trying to tell the daddy's boy he's got to stand up to his dad. So your thoughts? I don't know if you grew up with this one or not.
Oh, I definitely grew up with this one. I loved everything about this growing up. Disney Channel always showed it in February for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
But it was one of those, anytime it came on, I didn't miss a moment to watch it. We would always sit down and watch it. It was a lot of fun. It's a really good popcorn movie. I watched it a couple times in school as well. And it's just one of those fun, feel-good movies. You're going to have a good time watching it. If you haven't seen it by now, just go ahead and check it out. It's definitely worth it. So, yeah.
So Dinosaur is not the... you're seeing the poster right now if you're watching this. But sometimes when you say Dinosaur, most people... Wait, you mean the live-action Jim Henson show? No. This was a 1999 or 2000 CGI movie, and it hasn't aged that well graphically. I know it was kind of cool when it came out because they did how the Walk with Dinosaurs show does, where it's live action backgrounds and CGI dinosaurs and other creatures. Honestly, I really think this movie would have done better if they kind of went more documentary style and just not have the dinosaurs speak, and it just be kind of like a, not a silent film, but just not even have a narrator, just have them, doing it in action without them speaking, just, regular animal noises and stuff. Because anytime they talk, it really takes me out of it. And then you got the weird lemur monkey things. Those are just so weird. And I'm like, why are they even in it? Other to be a comedic effect. I'm like, yeah, he gets raised by them, but like that doesn't add anything to his character. He doesn't act like one of them or pretends like he's not a dinosaur. Like, that would have been really cool if he, like, the whole story was like he grows up and he's like just thinks that he's a weird lemur monkey thing, but no, they like skip all of that. So he hatches the monkey lemur creatures adopt him, and then like the next scene after that, he's an adult trying to flirt with or he's a teen trying to flirt with another teen dinosaur, and they're all trying to go to, I don't remember where they're trying to go to, the Great Something. I get the plots of this and one of the Land Before Time movies mixed up all the time, because I'm like, isn't this just the plot to Land Before Time? Kind of, where, we need to move to this other area where there's more food and water and stuff. I'm just like, okay, well,
I think it's the plot to the Big Freeze.
Big, right? So just like, huh, okay. So visually, background wise, it's fine, but the dinosaurs, it just, and of course we've, as this was based off of what we knew as dinosaurs from 2000, as science has like moved along, we're like, that's not really how some of them actually looked like or acted, or sounded. So yeah, I don't even remember who all's like in this cast voice wise. I can't even say, they did a good job, because I'm like, I don't remember. I remember the only thing I really remember about this movie was the puppets you would get from McDonald's.
Oh my goodness, yes.
Like, that was the best part of this movie, was the toys. And like, I guess the villain, which was like this, it's not a T-Rex. I forget what dinosaur he is, but he's just like, he's got these horns, like a freaking devil dinosaur kind of thing. He just looks so cool. Other than that, I can give you any of the characters' names. So I know I've talked a lot about this. What are your thoughts?
So I really enjoyed this growing up. I thought the baby dinosaurs were really cute. But then again, most baby animals are really cute.
Yeah.
And again, it's one of those movies where I'd watch it because I wanted to see the cute babies. That was pretty much it. Like, it was like background noise kind of thing. We own it now because I still use it as background noise.
Yeah. Plus, we've got nephews that like dinosaurs. So
oh my
we're
goodness.
Like, well, we've kind of tired of watching insert other dinosaur show here. Let's show them.
I can't
Dinosaur.
make myself watch Gigantosaurus again. We've watched How to Train Your Dragon 3 times this week.
Let's put on.
Let's just put on Dinosaur.
Yeah.
They'll take a nap.
All right, Dumbo. This is a classic movie. It's a dark Disney movie. It's sad, so sad. I didn't ever see the movie until like probably high school or college, but we did have a VHS that included like the entire Baby Mine scene growing up. So like, I've seen Baby Mine so many more times than I can count, because it would play in front of the Tigger movie, so on VHS. So yeah, I know that song by heart. It is, it's great. Yeah, some of the scenes haven't aged too well. I'm not going to get into it, but if you've seen the movie, you know. Other than that, it's a great film. And I don't have thoughts on the live action one, because I didn't really care to bother to watch it, because I'm not a big fan of any of Tim Burton's other live action
Yeah.
remakes. So I was like, I'm not going to see. And I don't think he was a good match for Dumbo of all films, anyways. But what are your thoughts on the classic?
I love Dumbo. I mean, it definitely has its issues. 100% has its issues. And I believe even when you go to watch it on Disney Plus now, it has a little warning.
Yeah.
Which definitely pay attention to that if you're watching it for the first time, because it doesn't even sneak up on you. It slaps you in the face. But this is also one of those movies, if you are having a difficult time emotionally, maybe don't watch it.
Yeah.
Give yourself some time before you watch it, because last time I watched it during a depressive episode, I cried for an hour. So be aware, I would say. But I think he is like the cutest baby character. Like the little. There's a reason why he's on so many baby things.
Right. He's like the original Disney baby, honestly, before
He really is.
Stitch and before they really did the whole baby Disney series of characters. I'm really interested to see what that canceled sequel was supposed to be about.
Yeah.
Because back when Disney was like making a sequel to like every movie under the sun and putting it on DVD, that's like when we got Bambi 2. We were supposed to get Dumbo 2. I think like the furthest they got was like a teaser trailer. But then like it got canceled because eventually, those things stopped making money. So I'm just like, that would have, of any of the movies, I feel like that would have been one that I'd be interested to see a sequel of. Next is The Emperor's New Groove. Yeah, I love this film. This is such a quotable film. Such a interesting story. I don't think it's based off of anything, or if it is, I don't remember what it is based off of. The voice acting is great because you've got Eartha Kitt.
Yes, as Yzma.
As Yzma. You've got
David Spade as Cusco.
Yeah, John Goodman as Pacho. And you've got I forget his name, but he's
Joe from Family Guy
as Kronk, and it's perfect. And yeah, it's like, during that time where Disney's like, let's not really do musicals, we'll just make stories and maybe have some songs like put in there. So like it opens with a song, but that's it. You don't have any other songs anytime for the rest of the movie.
They reprise the song at the end of the movie.
They do reprise the song, but it's not a full animated musical because Disney was like trying to push themselves away from musicals for a while. I don't know.
Yeah, I noticed like during that time period, movie musicals in general just weren't a thing. Like you'd get like maybe one or two a year, and they were always dramas.
Yeah. So, but probably the funniest Disney animated movie. I really like the show, or like the prequel show, and speaking of which, I do also like Kronk's New Groove, the sequel. It's just Kronk finding. Is he trying to find a girlfriend? Just.
It was like Kronk's kind of like living his life, and he ends up finding a girlfriend.
Either way, it's really good. A little forgetful, as you can see, but overall, just like if you haven't seen either one of them, definitely check them out. Your thoughts?
I love them. I love them both. Admittedly, I did not see Kronk's New Groove until I was going through Disney Plus and watching every single Disney movie they had on there before we went to Disney.
Wow. So I grew up with Kronk's New Groove.
I grew up on Emperor's New Groove. I quoted that all the time. Anytime I bumped into anyone or they bumped into me, one of us would end up going through off my groove. It was... And I'm clumsy, so I bumped into things and people a lot. So yeah, I loved everything about it. The cast for both movies do a fantastic job. Eartha Kitt as Yzma was perfect. Just absolutely perfect. When she gets turned into the cat, I'm just in stitches the whole time because the little voice she uses for the cat is just... My voice?
Oh, wow.
I love it. I love it so much. I love everything about it. And then Pacha's kids are so freaking
Oh
cute.
my gosh, yes.
They're like little troublemakers, and I love it.
And the mom, I forget the mom's name, but she's great as well.
Yes.
Okay, Finding Nemo. So, if you've been subscribed for a while and you've watched our top 30 films of the top 30 animated films of the last 30 years video we put out earlier this past year, back in the summer, you'll know that Finding Nemo is one of my favorite animated films of all time. And I go into, some stories I have connected to that film because I did see it more than once in theaters. I used the Nemo's egg theme to walk down the aisle at our wedding. It is a very big integral part. I'm not sure what else I can add to it that I didn't already say in that video. Other than the copy of the DVD that we got was like the copy that came out in 2003, so it is like now over 20 years old. I probably should update it to the Blu-ray copy, but that disc has been just honed up so well. I'm just going to keep owning that one until it just dies. And I don't really have anything else to say about it. No, I don't really like Dory's Finding Dory movie. I've seen it once and I can't even really tell you what I thought about it because I totally forgot that it was even a thing for a second. Because I almost said, man, I wish they'd make a sequel. I'm like, wait, they did make a sequel. And I've seen it and I don't have thoughts on it because it's just that forgettable. Your thoughts on the original one? I guess you've also seen Dory's Finding Dory to an extent. So if you want to talk about that, you can as well.
So I love everything about Finding Nemo.
Yeah.
For this Disney section, you're going to hear me say I love everything about it for a lot of these movies because I do. I'm a Disney adult and I have no shame about it.
Plus, I mean, we only own the Disney movies that we enjoy. If we don't own one, it's probably because we don't like it, or it might just be out of print.
Mm-hmm. But Finding Nemo is a very, very special movie. Everything about it was expertly done. The animation is gorgeous. It's absolutely beautiful to watch. The story is so great. All the individual characters are extremely memorable. And it helps that all your side characters are just as lovable as your main characters.
Right.
So, you're entertained and enjoying this movie from start to finish. It is honestly one of those movies, if you look me dead in my eyes and say you don't like Finding Nemo, I know I'm not going to like you.
Yeah, I kind of agree. You're like, well, then what else do you not like?
Yeah, it's just one of those movies that's, integral to just our generation.
And
yeah,
just morals in general.
It was just so well done and it's so good. And I do agree that Finding Dory is completely forgettable. We had it on in the background once while we were watching our oldest nephew when everyone was visiting.
Yeah.
And I spent the majority of that time in the kitchen making desserts because I literally didn't care.
Yeah. I sat down and watched it and I'm like, yeah, they really just made this because they wanted to, more.
Yeah.
Disney probably forced them to make it because this is honestly not that great writing wise, or it looks fine, but I'm like, I was not I was not taken back by any visuals in the film. So.
There's nothing completely stunning in this movie like there is in Finding Nemo.
Yeah. Some of those scenes you can just put on as background filters.
Yes.
And if you were looking at it at a glance, you would have to check and see if it was Nemo or an actual scene from just underwater, the Discovery Channel kind of stuff.
That's something Disney does really well though, is their seascapes. Even with Little Mermaid, it's so absolutely gorgeous at that opening. You could just have it on loop in the background and it's the most calming thing in the world.
So Flight of the Navigator is a really cool underrated Disney film. I don't think we'll ever see they've been talks for years, and for years since I was in high school, of let's remake this film. And it's just like, every now and then you'll like, oh, we got a director, and then like soon after that the director drops out or does something else, so like, well, we back to square one. So I don't think we're ever going to get a remake for this, and honestly it's perfect the way it is. It's a nice little time capsule of the late 80s. I think it's, going slowly into the 90s there. So it's about, this kid that gets kidnapped by an alien, and like wakes up. It's like split second for him, because he's just like, he kind of looks up, he sees a light, and then when he goes back home, it's like 30 years later. So then eventually he gets picked back up by the alien. They have this cool little, going around, kind of exploring it, and you get all these cool little alien creatures, because the main alien, which I forget his name, but it's a robot, voiced by Pee Wee Herman, and he's just like, well, I'm not like, he's not trying to be mean. He's literally just going from planet to planet, just kind of taking notes of every species. And the species that he has with him on the ship are like from planets that their planet died, so they don't have a home to go back to. But he, returned the boy because his planet was fine. But eventually he does make it back to his year. And it's a great film. I know you're not the biggest fan of it, but then you're not a big fan of sci-fi films in general.
Yeah, I have no thoughts on it. I don't even remember watching it.
Okay, fair enough.
Smooth brain, no thoughts.
Flubber. All right, so this is a childhood staple for me. Like, this was like one of the first VHSs I remember owning. Remember asking to own, and we got it for Christmas along with Men in Black. And yeah, I've watched this every chance I could get. I had the McDonald's toy, which is like one of the actual few toys they made for this film. I really am honestly surprised they have not made a remake or sequel to this, because one, Flubber in itself is a remake. It is a remake of the Absent-Minded Professor by Disney from the 1960s. And, it's, when people say why is Disney making remakes of their films? I'm like, they've always done remakes of their films. They just were not, it wasn't so much in your face in the 90s, but they were doing remakes of their films, at least since the 90s, if not earlier than that. But this one's great. Of course, it's freaking Robin Williams, so he's perfection. The animation holds up really well for Flubber, probably because they use it for a minimal amount, except for that one scene where it's like this whole conga line thing, and it's like my favorite scene ever, and have always wanted that song like on a soundtrack, and it's like never been released like on Spotify or anything. I'm just like, I want to listen to that on repeat. Weebo is like one of the coolest robot designs ever, and it was great to see. I don't know if it was like a replica or was that the actual robot, but they have that at Epcot at the Imagination with Figment ride. At least I don't know if she's still there, but she was there back when we went there in 2019. So that was like just kind of a dream come true of seeing that in person, because it was like one of my favorite robot designs, still is to this day, because it's like one of the few robots that's like a pop culture reference robot. The story is pretty close to what the original was. They do put a bit more emphasis on Weebo, because in the original it was just like a maid that was a reminder there weren't any robots. But Flubber was always prevalent. The flying car was always in the movie. And it's just they switched out the live action humans for more robots, which, come from somebody that loves robots, I'm not going to complain about that. And yeah, it's a great movie. And what were your thoughts?
I had the unpopular opinion with this.
Uh-huh.
As a kid, I loved it because I was just focusing on Flubber. Mm-hmm. As an adult, I hate this movie.
Yeah.
This movie gives me anxiety. Because you know how I am about keeping a schedule and sticking to what you say you're going to do.
He's very forgetful.
And he's not only is he very forgetful, he's forgetful to the point of negligence.
Yeah.
And that scrapes at a painful part of my brain. So watching this movie feels like torture.
Gotcha. Yeah, the character of the professor is like not one of the best, characters to like look up to. He's more it's more there to just like move the plot along kind of things. It's all the everybody else around him that like really makes the movie. Like,
yeah.
I mean, I know you don't like Robin Williams' character, but you gotta admit the villain, I think he's the college, not, I want to say mayor, but that's not the president of the college or whatever. Mm-hmm. The main villain, who's probably more people know him from Happy Gilmore than anything else.
Yeah, it's a guy from Happy Gilmore, and he performed better in Happy Gilmore.
But I love him in this. But no, I totally can understand when people don't like Robin Williams' character in this. I'm like, yeah, I get it. I just don't care.
I have noticed, specifically with me, his more for kids movies, like Flubber and Mrs. Doubtfire, I don't like them. Because the character that he's playing in them is a completely wholly unlikable character. The thing is, though, I love Robin Williams as, a performer, an actual performer. Yes. Like, I love his stand-up, I love his dramatic pieces, but it's those particular type of roles that irritate my brain to the point where
too over the top for you.
It's not just that he's over the top, it's the character themselves are wholly unlikable.
Fair enough. Frozen 1 and 2. I think I've said this before in the past in that 30-year animated video, but Frozen is like my favorite modern Disney princess movie, and the sequel even more so. Man, I can remember when that first teaser trailer came out. Everybody online, at least, hated it because, I don't know if you remember, they didn't show any of the human characters. It was literally
Olaf and Sven,
and it was like them fighting over his nose. And this was like, yeah, Disney was on a pretty good track record at this time because we had gotten Wreck-It Ralph and Tangled
and Princess and the
Frog, but we're just like, don't know how well this is gonna go. They really underplayed that it was gonna be a musical. Like, I did not know going in it was gonna be a musical. I don't think really a lot of people did, unless you were like familiar with the cast. If you're hearing like Idina Menzel and
Jonathan Groff
are going to be in a movie, you're like, oh, they're going to be singing, aren't they?
And then they
except they didn't get Jonathan Groff to. Well, they
gave him a minute and a half throwaway song.
They did, but somebody that doesn't come from a musical theater background, I'm not really familiar with those stage names. So I'm just like, okay, don't know those names. Must whatever. It kind of threw me away, whereas like literally it opened up with a musical song. I'm like, oh, okay, got it. Because Wreck-It Ralph wasn't a musical, so I wasn't sure. And it ended up being like, pretty much a lot of people's favorite Disney films for one reason or another. And then we get a sequel, a couple years later. And that one I actually enjoy more than the first, including the songs. For some odd reason, I've seen a lot of people say they don't like the songs, but I'm just like, I don't know why, because the songs are actually like more, I feel like they were more thought out, and move the plot a little bit more further along in those songs, whereas in the first one they're just kind of, except for like one of them, you've got to stop, and it just stops the whole movie.
Like, even their comedic song for Frozen 2 still moves the plot along.
Yeah.
I do love both Frozen movies. They are not my favorite modern Disney movie.
I know.
Tangled is my favorite modern Disney movie. We will get there, and I will go on my whole spiel. But yeah, like when they started dropping the cast for Frozen and they said Idina Menzel, I completely freaked out. because I've been an Adina fan since I was like 12, and I discovered Rent and Wicked.
Yeah.
So it's like Maureen Johnson, frickin' Elphaba is gonna be in a Disney movie that's not Enchanted.
Right?
So I got really excited, and because it was animated instead of live action, I was like, oh, they're definitely gonna have her singing, because they're not gonna pay this money for her voice and not have her sing. And then find out she was gonna be the main character. I was like, oh, she's definitely gonna be singing, and I'm gonna have these songs stuck in my head for life. And I was right. They do, like, just play on loop. It's one of, like, 4 Disney soundtracks, so it's just always going up in this fire trap of a brain.
Same here.
But I do enjoy 2 better. Like, 1, I had fun with it. It was a fun little moment. It had a good little twist towards the end that, you know, kind of got me to gasp. But the second one had me going through all the emotions. I was going through it watching that movie. 1 second I'm laughing, the next second I'm sobbing. We saw it in a packed theater with little girls dressed up as Elsa and Anna, just roaming the theater, which the theater we went to, there was enough space where little kids could roam and they're not knocking into you.
Yeah.
But it was so cute, and like every time we got to a dramatic moment, the kids just, like, there was a hush that fell over them, and they got serious. And it's when you see a movie in that kind of an environment where, like, everyone's invested, it makes the moments bigger. So I think that contributed to me enjoying 2 more than 1, because when we saw 1, everyone's just kind of like, okay, it's a Disney movie, but everyone was, like, really invested when 2 came out. And the storyline's better, the songs are better. I do think they put the wrong song up for Best Original Song for the Oscars that year. They put Into the Unknown. I think it should have been Show Yourself or The Next Right Thing. Both of those songs, I believe, were stronger than Into the Unknown. Into the Unknown went up, though, because it kind of harkened back to Let It Go.
Yeah.
So, yeah, like, I do really enjoy both of those. Olaf still showing both of them. I still quote Olaf from both movies, especially the Samantha. I don't even know a Samantha, which is wrong. I do.
Fox and the Hound. Okay, I'm gonna admit something. I don't like this movie. It's really schmaltzy. It's really sweet, and it's like I really don't really get into the animal-centric movies outside of, like, maybe 1 or 2 of them. And this is literally just titled Fox and the Hound. So I'm just like, well, okay. The only, like, interesting thing about this is, like, Tim Burton was, like, one of the, like, in-betweener animators on this, and they, like, moved him to a different project because he just didn't know how to draw a fox or something like that. So he got to start working on his own kind of thing due to not being able to in-between art animation on this movie. But yeah, I've seen this like a handful of times, and every time I'm just like checked out because I'm like, I know they become friends and then they have to turn into enemies because of nature, but in the end they still have friends, and I don't care. I know it's an unpopular opinion, but it's my opinion. You've got probably the consensus everybody else
love
does.
this movie. It's so sweet. It's so cute. And when the little old lady has to give Todd away, it's so sad. And I tear up every time. I'm tearing up talking about it. It's so cute. And it's got like one of my favorite little folksy Disney songs in it, Best of Friends. Mm-hmm. And it's so sweet. And I love everything about this. And one of my favorite little moments is at the beginning where like Todd's just like, I'm a fox. And then Copper, I'm a hound dog. It's just so cute.
Yeah.
It's so cute. I love it so much.
I'm glad you love it so much.
So watching this movie kind of turns me in to Jess from New Girl when she's it's the scene where she's going for the job interview, but she's on her period, so she sees the puppy in a cup as a picture, and she just starts crying because it's so cute. That's what this movie does to me.
Grey Mouse Detective is pretty cool. I only recently saw this for the first time. It's just a really good adaptation of the Sherlock Holmes story, or one of Sherlock Holmes' story. I don't think it's based on anyone in particular. It's just
It's inspired.
it's inspired by. Great animation. It's really cool because this is the first movie that Disney used some CGI, because for the longest time they were like, we don't know if we're gonna ever use CGI for our animated films. But then this was the first one where we're like, yeah, we kind of have to use it, because otherwise it's gonna take forever to do. And it's the clockwork scene where it's all the
Yes.
gears. That is CGI. I mean, the mouse is 2D, but the whole background is cell shaded CGI. It's just kind of like a really cool. You can see that film and see, okay, so this is the jumping off point to future films where like they start doing this for like the backgrounds for, so like Beauty and the Beast and Aladdin, and eventually we get up to like them going full CGI. So this is where it all started. You could say technically it started with Tron, but this is like the first one for their animated films, fully animated films. But I really enjoy it. I'm honestly, again, one of those, I'm like, why haven't we gotten a sequel to this? Because it's Sherlock Holmes. There's like hundreds of stories. So you really, like, I'm honestly shocked that this, I guess it didn't do too well. I mean, it did fair enough, but I'm honestly shocked this didn't turn into like one of their Toon Disney Saturday morning cartoons where like every episode was like a story of, or like their take on, like, they did Chip and Dale. I mean, like, come on.
Like it feels like a Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers kind of story.
Yeah.
I love this movie. I remember growing up on this one. I had so many Disney movies, but this one I remember watching with my grandpa because he did enjoy the Sherlock Holmes stories. So he took that as an opportunity to introduce me to the Sherlock Holmes stories.
It's a good way to introduce a lot of kids. Like, yeah, nowadays we have like the Robert Downey Jr. films and some other television show takes on it, but I think if you want like a young kid to get into it, it's a good introduction.
I'd say, like, if you want to start introducing like kids under 10 to Sherlock Holmes or other classic stories, always look up and see if there's an animated version of it first.
Or just mystery genre in general.
Yeah. See if it's something that interests them before you give them the books to read.
Yeah.
But it is a lot of fun. The little girl in it is so sweet, so cute. I just want to like just pick her up and put her in my pocket. She's just so cute. But it's just a Sherlock Holmes type story.
And the villain is voiced by what is his name?
Isn't it Vincent Price?
Vincent Price.
Yes,
yeah.
It's Vincent Price.
And it's like, that's like perfect casting right there. Because it's, Vincent Price goes over the top, and this is an the top villain, so it's great.
He does fantastic. But again, everybody in this movie does a fantastic job. It's really, really well done.
Mm-hmm. This is technically still counted as like part of Disney's Dark
Ages,
movies,
yeah.
But this is really where these start turning the curve, and
it's like this, Oliver, and like the rescuers were all around the same time.
We're all the like beginning to. All right, Disney's figuring out what they want to do animation wise. They're, these are the of things yet to come kind of thing. The future hints of stuff. Hercules is the next one on the list, and it's probably one of my favorites of the Renaissance era. Of course, that could be said with a lot of the films from that era. I think everything from the art style to the songs being like for the most part like gospel is just so unique about it that it kind of sets itself apart from pretty much almost all the other movies from that era of Disney animated movies. Plus, I mean, you've got Danny DeVito, and it's like perfect casting. And James Wood as Hades. I'm just like, well, yeah, that's like the only person you could get to voice Hades. Yeah, I'm also going to say like the show was really good as well. Hercules the animated series, which was like a semi prequel, because they kind of just took the idea and like, well, let's just put him in a school setting, but he already is aware of the Greek god stuff.
Yeah, like it's basically going over like a whole bunch of the classic Greek myths.
Yeah. So it was funny because like the first time I like fully watched this, like I did watch it when it came out on VHS back in the 90s. We were at like some kid's birthday party and they were putting this on just to keep us all quiet while they were getting stuff set up. I don't even know what kid it was birthday party. I just remember Hercules. But like the next time after that I watched it was high school in my mythology class, and the teacher used that as like the final test because we were supposed to watch it and write down how many inaccuracies there are to the actual Greek myths, and we're just like, no,
the whole
because it's
movie.
like the whole movie. And he's like, exactly, you got to find at least 10. I'm like, we found at least 10 in like the first 30 minutes. So we like all filled out our pages, turned them in, and then just sat and watched the rest of the movie. So, but what are your thoughts on this?
I love everything about this movie. Every single second of this movie is amazing. It's visually just, not only just visually interesting, but it's just a feast for your eyes watching this movie. It's so cool. Meg was one of my favorite Disney characters, and she still is. I think she formed some part of my personality.
I could see that.
Like the sarcasm that runs deep in me, wholly created by some weird combination of my mother and Meg from Hercules.
Maid, I'm in distress.
I can handle this. Have a nice day. I'm just, oh my goodness. That's basically what's running through my head when you try to go and fix something for me while I'm trying to do it myself. I'm like, nope, back up. I got this. Let me do it. I'm a strong, independent, short woman. And you're just like, get out of the way. You're too short to reach it. But anyway, I love everything about this movie. The soundtrack is fantastic. It is the most fun of the Disney Renaissance movies. It's just a riot from start to finish. It has a couple moments in there that are a little more emotional. They don't slow the movie down.
Yeah, no.
They keep moving it forward, but it's a little bit of a breather to let your sides recover.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, you just won't stop laughing. Pegasus, I freaking love him. I had a plush. I love plushie. I do still have a plushie of him, but that's my second one. I had one when I was little that I hugged so much that I like started rubbing the fabric away because I loved him so much. Danny DeVito is fantastic in this. James Woods does a really good job as Hades. Pain and Panic, oh my goodness. I think that also...
We are worms, not worthy.
I think they also formed another facet of my personality. Just, I love every single moment of this movie.
Is this not where the what are those meme come from? Because it's literally...
I think...
That's like... at least like the blueprint first, because Hades literally like looks at Pain's shoes and he's like, what are those? And he's like, oh, these are my new shoes.
I think I feel like that is where that person got the idea from, and then they just
went off from there.
They just built from there. But yeah, Hades is a great villain. He is like one of the goofier villains, though. So like, I noticed a lot of
He's a sassy villain.
He is sassy. A lot of the other like Renaissance villains are genuinely terrifying in some way.
Oh, yeah.
Hades isn't.
No. But Hades next up to like any of the other villains from that era,
And you're like, oh,
is he really a bad guy? Oh, he
is.
But
He's not, like, you're gonna laugh in his face, though.
Yeah.
All the other Renaissance villains genuinely have some terrifying moments. Or in the case of one that we're gonna get to later on this video, is just terrifying from start to finish.
Yeah.
I also feel like this is one of the few Disney movies that is truly safe for any age.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, there's nothing in it scary enough that it's going to scare, like, a really little kid, but it's also entertaining enough that you can watch it as a 30-year-old and really enjoy it.
It's got a lot of good adult humor in it.
It's very well balanced.
Yeah. So I don't have a lot to say about this next film, which is Hocus Pocus. I did see it, growing up once or twice on occasion when it like come on the Disney Channel. I never cared for it. And I've seen it multiple times since then. And I'm like, it's fine. It's not a bad movie, but it's not anywhere like in my top 50 Disney films. It's a Halloween Disney film, and there's a lot of those, and there's better ones in my opinion. But this is Shelby's favorite, so I'll let Shelby talk about it.
There is not a single better Disney Halloween movie. I don't care what you have to say. There's not a single better one. I love everything about this movie. Again, it's Bette Midler. You know how I feel about Bette Midler. I love everything about this. I love how they're constantly making fun of him for still being a virgin.
It was a really weird thing to harp on. I'm like, I think Nostalgia Critic did a video on this, and even he pointed out, I was like, they're really into pointing out that he's not a virgin. I'm like...
That he is a virgin.
Or that he is a virgin. I'm like, isn't he in middle school?
No, high school.
High school? Okay, but still, it's kind of a weird thing for a Disney film.
Yeah. But I love the fact that this movie gets to be a little racier than most Disney movies got to be at the time. Like, it is definitely your tween and teen Disney movie. It is not...
Yeah.
There's a lot of jokes in there that are not fit for little kids.
No.
But I have so much fun watching this movie. I have such deep nostalgia for this movie. I think I've watched it every single year of my life around Halloween. Because it came out the year we were born. It came out in 93.
It did come out there.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I watched this every single Halloween since birth.
Nice.
Because my mom loves this movie too. And she got super excited when they announced the second one.
Oh, yeah.
The second one is okay.
I fell asleep through the second one, so I don't have any thoughts on it. I saw, like, the first 10 minutes of it and, like, the last 10 minutes of it. I don't have thoughts on it. Howl's Movie Castle? Okay, so, just to preface, I think I said in the last Disney video this, but I'm just going to preface it every time we talk about these, just because it's a little confusing. So, yeah, nowadays the Studio Ghibli films aren't considered Disney films. They're now being distributed by G-Kids, and they've even as past ones have been redistributed through G-Kids. But from like 2000 to about, I think, 2015 or 2016, Disney was the distributor for these films, so that's how a lot of millennials at least got introduced to these films, was through Disney, because they would be released in the regular like Disney movie section, and they would show on the Disney Channel. So like the copies that we own of these movies from that time do have the Disney logo on them, so they don't count as Disney films.
And wouldn't they get re-released in theaters whenever Disney put a DVD out for them? So I remember seeing like a couple of them get announced that they were getting a theatrical re-release because the DVD was coming out.
That is only recently with AMC's, or not even AMC, Regal Theaters thing that they've been doing that. They didn't do that I'm aware of back in the 2000s. They could have, but I just don't ever. Only times I remember seeing ones in theaters were the new ones like Ponyo and Secret World of Arrietty, back when Disney was distributing them. So with that said, Howl's Moving Castle is my favorite Studio Ghibli film. It's based off of an equally great book. And yeah, I know Spirited Away, My Neighbor Totoro, those are like the two main big ones that everybody really enjoys. But I just like the coziness of this one more. Just Howl's Moving Castle, like the literal Howl's Moving Castle, is just this nice, warm little get comfy in a corner kind of thing, kind of movie. I like the love dynamic of it. The voice casting is really good. This is like Josh Hutcherson's like first role, I believe. And he would go on to do like a bunch of stuff. But like this is his first one, I think, or like one of the first ones. So this is really, just, of course, it's really well animated, like all his films are, all Studio Ghibli's films are. So that's not a shock, I think, to anybody. The music is really pretty. I really like the idea of this wizard that's like kind of working on both sides, and not really working for anybody at the same time. He's just kind of a lazy type of wizard kind of thing. It's fun. And yeah, I know we kind of talked about this in our top 30 animated films.
So, I feel like if I had seen this in my like early to mid teens, like when I was in my Twilight era, I would have loved this. But I didn't see this till I was in my 30s. So yes, the soundtrack is gorgeous. The animation is stunning. I did enjoy the other the other characters. Like Calcifer's really entertaining. Josh Hutcherson's character is so cute, so sweet. But again, it's just, I feel like I wasn't the right age when I saw this for the first time. I think this is one of those movies that you have to see at the right age to really, really be into it, continuing growing up. I just wasn't one of those people.
Gotcha. And to the last one is Hunchback of Notre Dame. I think we both agree this is like the best of the Renaissance era films, animation-wise. Their beautiful music, of course, is based on a classic book of the same name. The villain is great. I mean, like, not great as in, like, oh, that's cool. He's like, oh, no, this is, like, one of the scariest villains Disney has ever made because
he's
it's so realistic.
Yeah.
I doubt we'll ever see a live-action take on this one because of that. I mean, yeah, we got the Broadway show, and that's probably as close as we're going to get to it, but I don't
know. Disney did Maleficent.
But Disney did Maleficent and isn't she actually nice?
Yeah, but they still showed what was supposed to be like a whole metaphor for SA as the motivation for this for this character, and that is his entire vibe.
But I don't know. The way Disney's heading right now, I don't think we're gonna see it in this in at least the next 10 years.
No, like it'll be a while until we see it,
and even then, it's gonna get hate.
Oh yeah.
So plus it's a perfect movie. So I don't even think I don't even really want to see Disney try to do their hands at it again, because I know they're just going to screw it up. I'd rather see literally anybody else have their take on it, on the book.
Yeah.
Because you can do a musical and just make new songs for it. It doesn't matter. But yeah, I enjoy your thoughts.
I love everything I love everything about this. It is my absolute favorite Renaissance movie. It is my favorite Disney soundtrack, period. I love the orchestra for it. I love the choral pieces. Everything about this is just, it is just, I'm trying to think of how to phrase it, because of what I want to say is not YouTube appropriate.
Mm-hmm.
Just the music itself, it puts me in like a very, very relaxed, happy place until I get to Hellfire, and then I'm just like scared. But you're supposed to be.
But even then, with Hellfire, it's
contrasted. It's Heaven's Light, Hellfire.
Heaven's Light is beautiful. So
and it's I love the juxtaposition there, and how you go from this very light, very airy, very just kind of like puts you in like this perfect headspace for Heaven's Light, and then as soon as Hellfire starts, like it switches to a minor chord and everything gets, dark, and it's just like an instantaneous switch, and like it does wonderful things to your brain while you're watching this movie. Oh my goodness, it's fantastic. Frollo is the Disney villain I am the most scared of. I have had actual nightmares about Frollo because he is so realistic, and it is something that people actually have to deal with a lot. Phoebus is an okay character. He is like the least interesting character in the movie. But he's also a love interest / side character. Like he is just kind of supposed to be there to fill multiple spots.
I mean, he doesn't even get his own song, so
he doesn't.
The gargoyles do.
They do.
So
if Disney were to live action remake this, the only way I will be okay with it is if they move Someday from the credits to actually in the movie, because that song is gorgeous. Because it is actually in the plot line for the stage show. So yeah, I would really love if they were to move Someday from the credits to in the actual movie. But don't change any of the arrangements. Leave the arrangements as they are because they're perfect.
All right. And that's going to be it for this month's video. Let's talk about movies we own. Tune in the end of next month where we talk about more Disney films. As I said, it's going to be a while until we get to any genre. But if you enjoyed listening to us talk about these films and you want to hear us thoughts on more Disney films, probably some we haven't even touched upon yet, definitely like and subscribe to this video. Comment down below if you are looking forward to any specific movie, and I can at least let you know if we're going to touch base on it or not. And yeah, until next time, thank you and have a good day. Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.